A condition column allows you to rank your watch list by some behavior that you're looking for with either individual or multiple conditions. Let me show you how to create a condition column using a condition or condition set that you create on the fly. First, we'll click the Add Condition button and choose Add Condition Column. This opens the condition library with all the saved conditions in it, but we're going to click New Condition Set. This opens our editor so that we can create our condition on the fly. First, let's do a condition column based on a single condition. We're going to click the Add Condition button. This opens our editing tool. I'm going to type part of the word Bollinger because I want to work with the Bollinger Bands. I want to look for stocks that currently have price crossing up through the bottom Bollinger Band. I'm going to change the indicator that we're using to price history, and then we're going to create our condition. Notice in our available indicators, we have price history and the Bollinger Band. That means we have the ability to create relationships between price and the Bollinger Bands themselves. We're going to use the crossing up through channel bottom condition. We click on it. We want this to be true now on the most recent bar on a daily time frame. So I click OK. Our condition is now added to the condition column editor. I can click on the Properties button if I like. Maybe I'd like to give it a name. Price crossing up through Bollinger Band bottom. Click OK. And now I have that column added. You can see some check marks are in it. To sort by this, I click on the header, and that brings all my check marks to the top of my list. So now, as I spacebar through, you're going to see that the price on each chart has crossed up through, during the day-to-day, the bottom Bollinger Band. I could change the watch list, say to the S&P 500, and now the check marks represent the stocks in the S&P 500 that today have had price cross through that bottom Bollinger Band. Now, let's work with multiple conditions. I'm going to click that Add Column button and choose Add Condition Column, just like we did before, New Condition Set, and in the column editor, we're going to click Add Condition. This time I'm going to type part of the word stochastics because we're going to work with the stochastics indicator. And I want to create two different conditions. The first is I want the stochastics to be less than 20. I'm looking for a short-term oversold condition. So in my condition dropdown, I'm going to choose less than and set the value at 20. Again, I'm looking for this to be true now on a daily chart. I click OK, and there's my first condition. Price is oversold on a short-term basis according to the stochastics indicator. Now I'm going to add a second condition because I want my check mark to represent two conditions at once. So I click Add Condition again, type part of the word stochastics because I want to work with this indicator again. There's usually a second line on a stochastics plot, and that's called the %D. It's nothing more than a moving average of the stochastic. I'm going to click the plus sign next to stochastics to add that moving average. I'm going to click on the moving average to set it to 5. Now with those two indicators together in my available indicators, I can look for my second condition, which is going to be stochastics crossing up through the %D, or that moving average line. So I'm going to click on my condition drop-down, choose crossing up through moving average 5, which is the %D. Again, I want it to be true now on a daily chart. I'm going to click OK. And now I have two conditions. Stochastics is indicating an oversold condition. It's less than 20. And the stochastics line is crossing up through its %D line. Again, we could go to the Properties menu, and I could call it Oversold Stochastics Cross. And I'm going to go ahead and change our check mark color to orange. With that done, I click OK. I've added the column. Now I sort by it by clicking on that header, and notice that I have these orange check marks. That means that each of these stocks is going to show the behavior on the most recent bar of stochastics below the red line, which is the 20, crossing up through that white line, which is its %D. So in this case, my check mark represents two different conditions. Now I want to take it a little bit farther with you, and I want to show you how to use multiple conditions in a previous point in time. So this time I want to work with the MACD histogram. We're going to go up to the Add Column button again and choose Add Condition Column. We're building a new condition set, so we click on New Condition Set, and in our condition window we click Add Condition. I'm going to type part of that MACD phrase and choose MACD histogram. Now there's two things I want to happen here. First, I want the MACD histogram to be crossing up through the 0 line. So I choose in my condition dropdown, crossing up through value. The value is already set to 0. Of course, I could change it if I needed to. But I don't want this crossover to happen now. I want it to happen previously in time. That's where the true field comes in. It allows me to choose a certain number of bars ago, the condition happening within the last certain number of bars, or a certain number of bars in a row. In this case, I want to choose X bars ago. And we're going to leave that value at 5. So my MACD histogram cross happened 5 bars ago on a daily chart. Click OK. And there's my MACD histogram cross in our condition window. Now there's a second part to this I want to see. I want to see that MACD histogram cross 5 days ago, and I want to make sure that the histogram has stayed above the 0 line in the days since then. So I'm going to click Add Condition again. Once again, working with the MACD histogram. My condition is that the histogram is greater than 0, so I don't really have to change anything there. But I want it to be a certain number of bars in a row, and that number would be 4. This allows me to know that after the cross 5 days ago, the histogram has stayed above 0 line since then. I click OK, and there's my two conditions. Again, I could go into my Properties window, and I could give it a name. We'll choose a different color check mark, and click OK. We've added the column, and now I can sort by that column. And at the top of my list are the stocks with that aqua check mark that show the behavior of the MACD cross 5 days ago and the histogram staying above the 0 line in the succeeding days. So condition columns can be based on single conditions or multiple conditions. They can be true now or in previous time frames. But there's one more piece I want to show you very quickly. Let's just work with this same MACD set of indicators, but we're going to go back in and edit those. So I'm going to right click on the column header and choose Edit. And let's take each of these conditions and change their time frame. I'm going to take them down to, say, a 15-minute chart. So in each of the two conditions, I simply change the time frame from daily to 15 minutes, then click OK. Same exact setup, only it's on a 15-minute chart instead of on a daily chart. I click OK, and we'll go to a 15-minute chart so that you can see that now my crossover happened 5 15-minute bars ago, and the histogram has stayed above that 0 line since then in each of the cases where we have our aqua check mark.